Hello, friends. Welcome to Dream to Done, the podcast for moms who are ready to discover their dreams and goals again and actually do them. If you've been feeling a little lost in motherhood, I'm here to get you off the back burner and start taking a turn for yourself. I'm your host, Jessica Erickson, a certified life coach and your accountability cheerleader. Each week, you'll hear tips and tricks on doing life with a few kids, interviews with inspiring guests, and real talk on momming. I want you to discover your dreams, even in the messy middle of motherhood, because you deserve happiness too. You will also see that a mom achieving her goals and dreams lifts those around her. You deserve to take a turn in your life without feeling guilty. I am always cheering for you. Here we go. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Dream to Done podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Erickson, and this is my friend, Bonnie, who has come on today to be my guest. Bonnie and I met at a retreat, a workshop retreat. I don't know what we called it, but we went to Southern California and we had 3 solid days of business coaching and hanging out at restaurants and on the beach. So that's where I met Bonnie, and she is a fabulous and happy individual. And so I wanted her to come on, and we're going to talk today a little bit about perfectionism and how that shows up in our lives. With that, Bonnie, could you introduce yourself a little bit? Let us know more about you.
Yes. So I love coaching. It's my bread and butter. It's what I do all day, every day, coaching women, specifically on perfectionism and how that shows up for our lives through all the transitions that we have, all of the hats that we wear, all of the decisions we're making all day, every day. And I got my first planner when I was 7 years old, and my perfectionism just kind of took off from there. I loved checking things off my to-do list.
Oh.
I loved scheduling my time. I loved color coding, all the things. And the validation, the grades, the extracurriculars, the trophies, the scholarships, all of that. And then when I graduated college and didn't have any more of that validation, and my only validation was like sometimes at work, people would be like, oh, that was good. Everything kind of came crashing down, and I had to redecide what I think about myself and learn how to validate myself regardless of my perfectionism. And that's what brought me to coaching. And now I just help women, girls do that for themselves.
Awesome. We are 2 peas in a pod. I love a good color-coded plan. Did you have the Stephen Covey one growing up?
No, I did the one that was called the Laurel Planner.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. So mine was like you got the little, like you could buy the book, the thing it came in, and then you could reinsert the pages every year. So I had one that I kept, like an outside that I kept for like 3 years, and then I like upgraded to this big. And I was so excited that I was going to college with my new one. Anyway, love me a good color-coded planner. And if you looked at my wall right now, you would see that I have like the year at a glance calendar, like the super huge one, as well as my Google Calendar on my phone. And it is all color coordinated. So yeah, I have a problem with
I
perfectionism.
change my color coding system every month to align with like the month's themes color. So like July blue for obvious reasons. So I change it every month, and we love it. So I still keep my color coded planner, but it's a lot more balanced and
yes, more balanced. Okay. So today we're talking about do you have a quiz on your website, right? And so I went and took the quiz before, like a week or 2 ago, before we did this. So I know what I got on my quiz. So could you talk just a little bit about what the 4 types of perfectionism are, that if you take this quiz, you'll get one of these 4 answers?
Yes. So it's more of like a spectrum. So, or like a linear spectrum. So there's super perfectionist. We call that a perfect perfectionist. And then on the other end of the spectrum is a go with the flow girly. And then between that, you can have be a balanced girl, or you can be pushing perfectionism. So go with the flow, balanced, pushing perfectionism, or the perfect perfectionist. And the focus of the questions is just to help you realize how many ways and in how many areas of your life perfectionism actually takes a role in, and how it's impacting us without us even knowing it. So the goal of the questions is not necessarily to be like, I'm always a 100% perfectionist, or I'm never a perfectionist. It's more just to say like, oh, I didn't realize that in my social life, I have a lot of perfectionism, and less so in my scheduling, or more so in my scheduling and less so in my social life. So helping us realize where our perfectionism comes into play and how it impacts us makes up, like, I always say, it's like 80% of the battle and will help us so much.
Okay. So, with my audience, we're talking about like reaching goals and like going for your dreams and doing sometimes it's little things, but sometimes it's a big thing, like taking a trip or going back to school or, like starting a business or whatever the goal is. So, how can perfectionism show up in some of those areas when you're trying to reach a goal or do something big, maybe out of your comfort zone, and go for a dream? How can perfectionism show up there?
So many ways, and it's gotten really sneaky. And I'm assuming that the types of amazing women who listen to your podcast are familiar, at least in the world of, like, maybe they've tried out therapy, maybe they've read a self-help book or two, maybe they've like seen some reels or TikToks on social media that are like how to have some more self-awareness. They've seen people growing and changing throughout their lives. They have tons of life experience. And our brains have gotten really good at identifying or knowing that, like, to expect yourself to be perfect is unrealistic. So instead, our perfectionism will go undercover, and it shows up in a lot of different ways that we don't always recognize as perfectionism because it's not using the word perfect. One of the ways that shows up for us, and especially as mothers, especially when we're like have some like a vulnerable goal that we're trying to go get to, is comparison.
Mm.
So I don't know if you have a person in your brain that you're like, oh, this woman she's always balanced. She always, like, she has it together. Like, do you imagine her first? Do you think of, like, when does she wake up in the morning? And what time does she go to bed? And how does she respond to setbacks? What does she wear? How much money does she make? What do people say about her? How does she think about herself? And you have this idea of what her life looks like, and you think that your life should also look like that. For me, it's Michelle Obama. I think she's amazing. I just want to be just like her. Like, her life, yes. But I also have it in like smaller doses of people in my church or people down the street or my sisters. I just idolize them and think it's so amazing. I just wish I could be like them. So that's one way perfectionism shows up. Another way is negative self-talk. Regardless of, like, whether you think you're a perfectionist or not, nobody has perfect days. You wake up late, you snooze your alarm, you doom scroll social media, you miss carpool, or you get behind, or whatever it is. And the difference is that this is a perfectionistic tendency. It's found in a lot of women. We will beat ourselves up for the imperfect day. Did you know that you could have like an imperfect day and not judge yourself for it?
What?
Yeah, we're always just like, I just have to like shame myself or get mad at myself for all the things. So those are a couple different ways. There's more, but what are your thoughts on that so far?
Okay, so when you asked, like, do you have a woman that like pops in your head? And I was like, oh, yes, I totally do. But I know her. And anyway, she's like a neighbor slash goes to church with me and friend, and she's wonderful. But she gets up super, super early. And to me, I'm like, oh, really good people get up really early. That's
Yeah.
like a thought that I had. And after like a very long time of like trying to get up really early and like be that person, I was like, no, like we are
No.
just not going to get up early. Like I am a night owl. I do really good work at midnight
Yeah.
sometimes. So I was like, instead of like trying to be like this person, like how about I just be me? Like can go with
Yeah.
that. Really funny story too. Because I live close to this woman, there was one day which I thought her kids were perfect too, right? Because she's a perfect mom, and so her
Uh,
kids are perfect,
yes.
obviously. So I was driving by their house and two of their kids were outside in the front yard. And in my mind, I was like, oh, they're probably hugging because they just got back from playing a sport together. And so I was like, looked over expecting this like loving, like scene of perfection. And the younger boy punched the older boy in the chest. And I was like, oh, you're not perfect. And it actually made me love them even more.
Yeah. Finally, they're normal. They're human. It's okay.
And then I remember the first time that she told me, like, I forgot to pick up my kid. And I was like, you forgot something? And like, anyway, it just endeared her to me even more because I was like, oh, you're not perfect. Wonderful. We can be friends.
Yeah. This is possible.
Have
Actually, just talking to a client the other day, and she said her definition of success as a mother was that she would wake up at 5:30. And I was like, where did we get this? We always hear people saying, I wish I was a morning person,
yeah.
which we can get to that momentarily. That's another type of perfectionism we can discuss. Like we always hear like how it's so good to be a morning person, but we never hear people say like, I wish I was a night owl. And I don't know why that is.
We
Or
should
like
change that.
I know, like we need to start a movement that like make it a goal to be a night owl because that's what I need in my life actually. And we always hear that you should be a morning person and you should get up, but I don't know who made that up, but you actually shouldn't be. There's no rule that says you have to wake up early to be happy or to be successful. So
Yay, there's no rule. Okay, cool. The other thing I was going to say with perfectionism, and it's that same thing I think with the story of this other mom that I was friends with. I did photography for like 14 years and I was really good. So when I say that like I took out flaws and imperfections, like I swapped kids' heads. So, it's like you get the picture that looks perfect, but I knew all the behind the scenes that had to go into getting that picture. Like there was one where like I didn't even have the two kids in the room at the same time. Like one was a newborn and one was like a 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old was throwing a fit, and it just would not have been safe to have the kid in the same room with this brand new baby, right? So we didn't. And we didn't have them in there at all. But the finished product legit looked like this 3-year-old was kissing his newborn brother on the head,
how did you do
right?
that? That's amazing.
I had him kiss like a stuffed animal, right? And then I swapped in the
Yeah.
baby. So anyway, everyone thinks, oh my gosh, you have the perfect kids and your 3-year-old must be so loving towards the little brother. And like, I'm sitting there laughing going like, not even in the same room.
Yeah, like,
Like,
you don't
so,
even know that.
I mean, like what goes out on social media is just so not real. Like, in so many ways. But yet that's what we're comparing ourselves to. And so anyway, it's just every time I like start, see something that I'm like, oh, they're doing this and that's so amazing. I have to like pause and be like, but did they do a head swap? Were the kids even in the same room at the same time? Like, it's just, it can look so good, but that's not real. So anyway, authenticity is really important to me. And yeah, like you get social media is just not always authentic.
Yeah, barely. So
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about negative self-talk, comparisons. How about like unrealistic expectations? I think that's like my favorite.
yes, absolutely. So story time. Imagine with me, it's January 30th in Utah, 16 degrees. I'm freshman year of college.
Okay.
And I'm 3 weeks deep into engineering classes. We've got coding, physics, calculus two, the whole shebang. Add in volunteering for church, trying to make friends, trying to go out on dates, working to afford those 16 credits of engineering classes, and trying to get enough sleep and eat 3 meals a day and exercise somewhere in there. And my brain was like, I have the solution. And maybe your life is not looking like college freshman Bonnie. Instead, like you're juggling kids and carpooling and meal prepping and budgeting. You're managing like cleaning the house and doctor's appointments. You're trying to have a single hobby for yourself. You're navigating a marriage and a family, all while like doom scrolling social media and trying to love yourself because people keep telling you that you should love yourself and all of that. So freshman Bonnie had the solution. I signed up for a yoga class. I added another thing to my to-do list because I thought 1 hour of intentional breath work and meditation and moving my body would balance out the other 167 hours of my week. Yoga Bonnie was going to wake up on her first alarm. Again, the idea of like, it's good to be a morning person. I should be a morning person. Yoga Bonnie's skin was going to clear up. I had stress acne, hadn't seen the sun in months. I was homesick. Mental health was in the gutter. Her chakras would align, her GPA would rise. I was on track to get my first B in calculus. And all my problems would be solved if I just had this yoga class. If I'd want to feel my feelings, then I could like be the perfect robot for the rest of the week. And Spoiler alert, the B did not go up. In fact, it went straight down to a C. I skipped the B altogether, got my first C in calculus. I started therapy, and I not only was prescribed anti-depression medication, but also anti-anxiety. And not only did I thought I would, like, manage awkward dates with grace and be, like, so polite and poised, and instead, it was my fault that I had so many awkward situationships. I was just not showing up how I wanted to in all the ways. And I cried every day, and it was just a whole mess because the balance that I was chasing, that I thought this yoga class would give me, it never showed up. What I was actually trying to be was perfect, not balanced, just skipping it all straight to perfect. And it was so hard and exhausting. And that's one of the other, like, ways that unrealistic expectations show up for us is in these end goals that we have. And I'm so grateful for Jessica because stopped setting goals for so long because I would have a goal not to be skinny because that's unrealistic, but to be healthy or energized, or not to be flawless because that's just not possible, but to be always be present or intentional in the moment and always know how to respond in any given situation, always be present with my family and never lose my temper and all of that. Or not to be perfect, but to find balance or to be like realistic in how I show up.
Do you
So
do
I
you feel like that's kind of like the same thing, just masked a little bit under like a
yeah.
different
Mhm.
title, a different name?
Call that undercover
There we
perfectionism.
go.
Huge thing in our lives. And our brains don't know that that's perfectionism because it's not saying the word perfect. And
Right.
seems more realistic to lose weight or to have this financial goal or whatever, but it's really sneaky. It gets in there. So that's why I'm so grateful when we met because that was my first time. I did vision boards all growing up, but stopped when I was diagnosed with OCD and it felt like too much. And the way that I don't know how you did it, but you just were amazing with everything I needed. You helped me set goals, like a couple tangible goals and a lot of mindset goals that were just little realistic shifts that I could change like one step at a time. And it's only been a month and a half since we did our vision board, and it was a 3-month vision board. I've got done everything except one goal that I'm heading. So thank you so much. And it made it feel so
Hey.
anyway, I'm getting off topic, but that was the undercover perfectionism. We have these labels like healthy or balanced or intentional that are actually we expect them to be perfect or for all of our problems to be solved if we could just get there.
Oh, yeah. So what do we do? Like if you find yourself like, "Oh shoot, that's totally me." Like where oh, I don't want to do the perfectionist bad goal, but like, "Oh, I totally just renamed it." And
Yeah.
what do you do?
Well, I think awareness, again, I've said it once, I'll say it many more times. Awareness is 80% of the battle. When we can notice how we're talking to ourselves, it makes it so much easier to adjust how we want to talk to ourselves and be intentional about changing that. But that is a couple steps down the road. I always have clients start with step number 0, which is where we just practice awareness and noticing your thoughts. Like we said, it's everyone gets off track in their day, but it's a perfectionistic tendency to beat yourself up for getting off track. So, step number 0 is just noticing when you get off track and then noticing how you talk to yourself when you get off track. And once we have that awareness and once you're familiar with step number 0, the next step of changing how you talk to yourself or adding in, introducing or trying on some more positive or encouraging or even just like neutral self talk will become so much more easy and natural. And then that just changes, that makes it more easy and realistic to change your actions and how you're showing up, which by default change the results that you're seeing and like the progress you're making towards your goals.
Okay. So step 0 is just awareness.
Yes.
Awareness.
Yeah, and the
Um,
this is one way that you can do that, noticing it's really tailored towards undercover perfectionism, so it doesn't really say the word perfect besides in the title, but that I think is a great way to start getting that awareness and noticing how it shows up for you throughout your day.
okay. A couple of episodes ago, I talked about unpacking your bag and taking out, like the rocks and the garbage and the things that belong to other people. And I do have a worksheet. So if anybody wants, I'll link to that in the show notes. But that's just like we did a body scan where you're just kind of taking inventory, like how am I feeling right now? And then a brain dump. So you're getting everything out on paper and just like letting it all come out and seeing it on paper is actually really interesting. You're like, oh, I did not know I was thinking that. So you're talking about awareness, and that is like 100%. Let's get aware of like what's actually up there. Oh, anyway, so I will link to that in the show notes to my worksheet about that. And then we're also going to link to Bonnie's quiz on the 4 types of perfectionists. So perfectionism, so you can see kind of where you're at. So you touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to know if you could just kind of explain or give me like a thing, because I did a vision board with you. We did a vision board session and just kind of wanted to get your feedback. If somebody was thinking about like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll do a vision board session with Jessica, what would you tell them?
Do it. Okay. I was trying for so many months to like get myself to do a vision board and set goals. And I just did not even know where to start. I felt so overwhelmed. It felt like such a big thing. I was like, I don't know where to get the equipment. I don't know where to start. I don't know what type of goals to set. Do I want it to be with my business or just my personal life or my family or what? Where do I don't know where to start. So Jessica came to mind because I was like, this is her job. So she's the professional. So I reached out to her and she helped me get so clear. And again, she like helped me get awareness of where I was at and taking inventory of where I was and like accepting that, just being okay with where I was as I was. And then allowing me to talk it over with her. I'm a talker. So we talked through
Yeah.
all the thoughts and feelings. And then I was second, I wanted to spend so much time on having the perfect vision board. Again, perfectionist. And Jesse just was like, hey, we've got 30 minutes. Like, we're going to keep this moving, which was so good because I would have spent years on this vision board and never actually done it. So it was so great to have a time frame for it and just be like, okay, this is going to be done in 30 minutes and it's going to be perfectly enough as it is. And we set 3 tangible goals with like numbers involved and then 3 mindset shifts that were just like, I want to be more confident in how I show up. I want to kind of embrace these different identities and just made it so clear. And she's a great designer and it was so cute. So loved every bit of it. It's all electronic. Otherwise I would be showing it up here, but we just removed and we didn't have a place to hang it up. But would
Oh,
love a physical one when we get back to our house. So
congrats on the move.
yeah.
Okay, well, we will be sure to get that up on your wall soon. But thanks so much. Yeah, it's really fun. And I do think that that is one of the great things of hiring somebody else to help you out with something is we get in our heads like, oh, I need to buy 500 magazines and the tape and the special glitter glue and the stickers and the scissors that cut all funky. And so, like, doing it digitally, you don't need any of that. You can make changes whenever you want to, right? And then doing it digitally, like, you just have access to like everything. Oh, so that's great. So doing
And
it
can I say one other thing? And this also ties into perfectionism. So we initially set a goal for a certain amount of clients that I wanted to have in the 3-month period. And after like within 3 weeks of my vision board, I had tripled that goal.
yeah.
And my brain was like, this was the first time I noticed it because I had actually written down my number goal. My perfectionistic tendency was like, okay, I need to triple my goal of the number I already got. So I need to like just make it a huge astronomical number.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my brain moving the goalpost. This is a perfectionistic tendency to move the goalpost every time I make progress. And then by the end of my 3 months, if I didn't meet this new goal that I had changed extravagantly, I would be beating myself up and doing the negative self-talk and all of that rather than celebrating that I tripled my initial goal that I had set with Jessica. But because I had it written down on my vision board, I could celebrate that and I could actually see the change and the growth that had happened instead of just moving the goalpost and not even like taking time.
Ah,
So that was really big for me. So thank you.
yeah, that's good. So, I mean, like, having somebody else do it for you helps you get clear because they can ask the questions that, I don't know, it's really difficult to ask yourself questions sometimes, especially if you're like you don't know what your blind spots are, right? Like you don't know what you're missing. So anyway, so that's all good. But also like there's a set time. And there's that principle that like things will take as long as you allow them and
Mhm.
it will grow to like meet the time that you give it. So we only gave it like we did an hour long. So it was like a half hour of like prepping and figuring out where we were. And then I was like, okay, we got half an hour left. We're going to get it done right then.
Yeah.
And then, like I worked on it a little bit after we got off the call and then shipped it off to her. But she was done. Like it's an hour and it was done. And it's like, oh, it's done. And I feel like that with a lot of things where like if I was doing it by myself, I would not ever say it's done because I'm like, oh, I can tweak that a little bit or I can,
Yeah.
but like with somebody else, well, they said it's done, so it's done and it's
Yeah.
getting shipped off and it's going up on the wall as
It was
is.
such
And
a relief.
yeah.
That was just felt so good. I was like, I can commit to 1 hour. That's super doable. And then it was done. And you did it. Amazing. Amazing
Oh,
job.
thank you. Well, it was so fun working with you. And I am so excited for you that you crushed that goal like in the
Thank
first
you.
month. That's awesome. And I totally want you to celebrate that because that's amazing. And I love that you saw that like you were trying to change it, but like it's there. It's in black and white. It is right there. And so you know what the original goal was.
Mhm.
Because sometimes I'm like, wait, did I really think that? And then you play the
And
mind game where
yourself.
you're like, I must have been like underestimating myself. Like,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
now that I've reached this goal, like it obviously was too easy. So I should, yeah, there's the should again. I should change that.
Yes.
It's like, no, you should. You should celebrate. That's what you should do right now.
Self out for a chocolate shake. It was great. Yeah.
Yay. I'm glad you did that. Okay, well, how can people get in touch with you?
Instagram is where I show up the most. And yeah, we just keep it light and polite on social media, have some funny videos, and it's a great time there. It's a great little community we've got.
Okay, and what's your Instagram handle?
Oh, you probably need to know that. It's at Coaching with Bonnie.
At Coaching with Bonnie. Okay, cool. And then website?
Yes, website is coachedbybonnie.com. And that is also what the quiz will show up automatically when you sign up there or log in there. And so that's a great place. And then there's a link in my bio on my Instagram that has lots of different tools and little freebies if you've gotten familiar with step number 0 and recognizing your thoughts and you want to transition like in a safe, easy, realistic way to step number 1 of changing how you talk to yourself. I've got some great affirmations that you can easily access and just lots of different tools to help you each realistic step of the way. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bonnie, for coming on today. And
thanks for having me. It's fun to chat with you.
I'm so excited for you. Really, like, yes. Like, I don't know if you're on podcast, you can't see me, but I'm like dancing. and
Yes,
jumping
you've
for
been
joy with her.
lots of our hands and arm movements. Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Bye, Jessica.
Bye. It was so fun having Bonnie on today, and I'm excited we got to talk about perfectionism and how that can show up in our lives and how that can show up in stalling us out when we're trying to meet a big goal or reach for those dreams. If you have any questions, I would love for you to reach out on Instagram, DM me, and we will be in touch soon. Have a great week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Dream to Done. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean so much if you would leave a rating and review. It helps more moms like you find the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. I'll see you in next week's episode. I'm always cheering for you. See you next week.